To understand Matt's disappearance, you have to understand the family he came from. The Browns, a self-proclaimed Wolfpack, built their lives and their fame on surviving far from civilization. They hunted, fished, and built their own cabins in some of the most unforgiving land in North America. On camera, they were united, unstoppable, a family against the world. And for years, that image worked. Fans saw them as living proof that you could turn your back on modern society and still thrive. But away from the cameras, things were different. Fame had found the Wolfpack, and with it came money, pressure, and the kind of secrets that couldn't stay buried forever. And Matt Brown, he was right in the middle of it. The Brown family wasn't like other reality TV stars. They didn't live in mansions or jet off to red carpet premieres, at least not on camera. The world met them in 2014 on Discovery Channel's Alaskan Bush People, where they were introduced as a family who had cut ties with modern life to survive in the wild. Billy Brown, the patriarch, stood at the center of it all. His wife, Amy, and their 7 children, 5 sons and 2 daughters, formed what they called the Wolfpack. Their lifestyle was marketed as pure and primal, fishing, hunting, building cabins, and weathering brutal Alaskan winters without the luxuries most people couldn't live without. They spoke with a distinctive accent, which they claimed developed naturally from years of isolation. Viewers loved the idea, a family united against the elements, free from the noise of the outside world. But in truth, the Browns weren't as isolated as the show suggested. Their properties weren't always deep in untouched wilderness. Sometimes they were just miles from neighbors and pizza shops. And the no outsiders claim? That too was complicated, especially when production crews and helicopters became part of daily life. The show was never short on drama. From natural disasters like the 2020 Washington wildfires that destroyed their home, to rumors that parts of the show were staged, the Wolfpack was constantly in headlines. Still, they pushed forward. Seasons kept rolling out. The fan base stayed loyal, and the Browns continued to sell themselves as a tightly knit unit. All for one for all, as one of the sons once said. But fame has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. By the late 2010s, cracks began to show. Allegations surfaced that the show's reality was at times scripted. Longtime Alaskan locals complained about the disruption of film crews and helicopters. The family's relationship with their community grew tense. And then there was Matt. As the eldest son, he was expected to be a leader, the firstborn in a family that prided itself on unity and loyalty. But behind the scenes, Matt was dealing with personal struggles that didn't fit the clean, rugged image of the Wolfpack. He battled with alcohol dependency, spending time in rehab more than once. In 2016, Matt entered treatment for the first time. He would go again in 2018. Around that same time, the family relocated to California so Amy could receive treatment for cancer. But Matt didn't follow. His absence was noticeable, but at first it was easy for fans to believe it was temporary, maybe just a personal break. They couldn't have guessed it was the beginning of a permanent split. Because what happened next wouldn't just take Matt away from the show, it would tear the family apart in ways no one saw coming. Even before Matt vanished from Alaskan Bush People, there were warning signs that life inside the Wolfpack wasn't as perfect as it looked on TV. Matt had always been known as adventurous and unpredictable, but behind the smiles and rugged charm, he was dealing with a serious alcohol problem. In 2016, he took the step of entering rehab for the first time, and fans saw it as a positive move, a sign he was willing to get help. But the battle wasn't over. 2 years later, in 2018, he returned to treatment. That year was also when the family faced another huge change, Amy Brown's cancer diagnosis. The Browns relocated to California so she could receive life-saving treatment. The move was a major shift for a family that had spent years selling the idea of wilderness isolation. Yet when they made the transition, Matt didn't go with them. At first, there was little explanation, no formal announcement, no clear reason. On the show, his absence was brushed over, and fans filled the gap with their own theories. Some believed he wanted to focus on recovery away from the cameras. Others thought maybe the move had strained his relationship with the rest of the family. As time passed, the gap widened. Matt stayed in California while the rest of the Browns moved forward with filming. On social media, his name became a common subject in fan comment sections. Some worried for his health, others angry at the family for what they saw as abandonment. The truth was likely more complicated. Personal struggles, the pressures of reality TV, and family tension were all building towards something. Matt's addiction may have been a factor, but rumors of disagreements over money and the control of his life were starting to swirl in the background. By the time 2019 rolled around, Matt was no longer part of the show at all. The Wolfpack continued without him, never offering a clear explanation for why their eldest son was gone. The silence only made the speculation louder. And then, after nearly 2 years of absence, Matt broke that silence. And what he said would send shockwaves through the Alaskan Bush People fan base. In April 2021, Matt Brown reappeared. Not on Alaskan Bush People, but on Instagram. His face was thinner, his tone more serious, and his words explosive. He claimed the truth about his disappearance wasn't just about his addiction. According to Matt, the environment behind the scenes of Alaskan Bush People had been toxic for years. In the video, he alleged that not only had the show's production team provided him with substances, but that his father, Billy Brown, had controlled all of the family's finances, keeping over $300,000 that Matt believed was rightfully his. "I'm cold, I don't have any money, and I hardly have anything to eat," he said, his voice breaking. "We made a lot of money off the show, and because my dad controlled everything, all the money went to him." The claims were staggering. For fans, it painted a very different picture of the Wolfpack. Not the united front shown on TV, but a family where control and money were tightly held by one person. Matt's story suggested that when he struggled with addiction, instead of receiving unconditional support, he was pushed out. It didn't help that, according to Matt, the show's producers had no problem letting him spiral. He claimed they enabled his substance use to keep the drama alive, a dangerous accusation for a network to face. Discovery Channel never publicly confirmed or denied his version of events. The rest of the family stayed silent too. There were no public rebuttals, no sit-down interviews to give their side. The absence of a defense only fueled speculation. Was Matt telling the truth? Or was this bitterness and resentment speaking after years of personal struggles? For loyal viewers who had followed the family for nearly a decade, it was hard to reconcile this new version of events with the rugged, close-knit image the Browns had built. If Matt's accusations were real, they didn't just explain his disappearance. They exposed a dark undercurrent running beneath the show's wholesome survival narrative. But before fans could even process his claims, another wave of controversy hit. This time with accusations so serious, they threatened to overshadow everything else. Just months after Matt Brown's public accusations against his family and the Alaskan Bush People production, an even more damaging storm rolled in, this time aimed directly at Matt himself. In September 2020, two women came forward in an interview with The Sun alleging that Matt had assaulted them just days apart. According to their accounts, both incidents happened after Matt had been heavily drinking. The women claimed the encounters were not consensual and reported the allegations to the Los Angeles Police Department's Topanga Division. From there, the case was turned over to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. After reviewing the evidence, prosecutors declined to move forward, citing insufficient evidence for a criminal case. While the decision not to prosecute meant there would be no trial, it didn't erase the allegations from public memory. For some, the absence of legal charges wasn't enough to clear Matt's name, especially given his ongoing struggles with addiction and the volatile relationship with his family. The Discovery Channel addressed the situation carefully. A spokesperson confirmed they were made aware of the allegations years earlier, calling them disturbing and very serious. They said they had agreed with authorities that law enforcement should handle the matter directly. Beyond that, the network refused to comment further. Matt himself stayed almost completely silent on the subject. He didn't issue a public denial. He didn't defend himself in interviews. The same man who had so openly criticized his family and the production company now seemed unwilling to speak at all about the accusations against him. For fans, it was a turning point. Those who had been ready to see Matt as a wrong son now had to grapple with the possibility that he carried his own dark secrets. Others insisted the timing of the allegations was suspicious, pointing out they emerged after Matt's fallout with both his family and the network. Whatever the truth, the damage to Matt's public image was undeniable. The man who had once been the oldest son and wilderness leader of the Wolfpack was now defined as much by scandal as by survival. But as the headlines faded, Matt didn't disappear again. Instead, he began quietly building a new life, one far away from reality TV cameras. After years defined by controversy, Matt Brown's life took an unexpected turn, away from the chaos of reality TV and into something far quieter. By 2019, he had launched his own YouTube channel, where instead of dramatic family feuds or survival stunts, he shared glimpses of a simple rural lifestyle. He filmed himself working, cooking, hiking, and talking candidly about recovery. It wasn't glossy or highly produced, but it felt raw, and to many fans, more authentic than anything they'd seen on Alaskan Bush People. Matt eventually settled in the North Cascade Mountains of Washington State, not far from his family's North Ranch property. Even with that physical closeness, his relationship with the Browns remained fractured. He didn't visit, didn't appear in family photos, and wasn't mentioned in their social media posts. Instead, he built his own support system. In videos and Instagram posts, he shared progress updates on his sobriety, speaking openly about the discipline and small victories that kept him moving forward. He found steady work at an orchard, spending his days watering plants, tending trees, and embracing a slower rhythm than the frantic pace of TV production. "I've had to sacrifice to get through," he told followers in one clip. "If we work slowly and diligently towards success, we'll get there. I'm not saying I'm successful yet by any means, but I'm having my little victories." Fans rallied around him. His Instagram following grew past 200,000, and his TikTok audience continued to expand. For those who believed his side of the story, Matt was proof you could survive both the wilderness and the fallout from fame. But the split from the family still stung for some viewers. Bear Brown, Matt's younger brother, told Distractify in 2021, "Matt's been doing his own thing. I don't see him much these days. I hope he finds the peace and serenity he's looking for." In 2022, Bear was blunt when fans asked if Matt would ever return to the Wolfpack. Matt didn't want to be a part of it. No matter which version you believe, the exiled son or the man who walked away, Matt had carved out a life that no longer depended on the family name. But while Matt seemed to be moving forward, the show that made him famous was heading toward its own uncertain future. For nearly a decade, Alaskan Bush People had been one of Discovery Channel's most unique and controversial reality series. But after season 14 wrapped in late 2022, the Wolfpack's future became uncertain. Rumors swirled online. Was the show quietly canceled? Was it just taking a break? Or was something bigger going on behind the scenes? In March 2025, fans finally got a clearer and more troubling picture. The Sun reported that a $500,000 lawsuit was in motion between the estate of the late patriarch Billy Brown and his former business partner, Robert Mann. The dispute centered around Alaskan Wilderness Family Productions, the company tied to the series. Mann claimed a breach of contract and alleged that profits were mishandled. Court documents revealed that Amy Brown, now the family's matriarch, had given testimony referring to the show in the past tense multiple times. For viewers still holding out hope for season 15, that was a gut punch. Her wording strongly suggested the Wolfpack's time on Discovery Channel was over, whether the network had made it official or not. The legal drama wasn't the first cloud over the show. Even during its run, Alaskan Bush People had faced accusations of staging scenes, clashing with locals, and painting an unrealistic picture of off-grid living. The combination of public skepticism, declining ratings, and a high-profile lawsuit made the prospect of a comeback look dim. Bear Brown tried to calm the storm in a March 2025 Instagram video, insisting the show wasn't canceled, just on hiatus. But for longtime fans, that sounded like damage control. Television history is littered with shows that went on hiatus and never returned. Behind the scenes, the timing of the lawsuit raised more questions. If the Browns were fighting legal battles over show profits, what did that mean for their relationship with Discovery? And could the network justify continuing a series so closely tied to disputes, both personal and financial? For many, the idea of Alaskan Bush People ending felt like the closing of an era. Love it or hate it, the Wolfpack had been a staple of reality TV's wilderness genre for years. But now, the family's greatest survival challenge might not be the wild. It might be whether they can endure without the cameras rolling. And that brings the story back to where it started. Because without the show, without the brand, the divisions inside the Wolfpack become impossible to ignore. When the cameras stopped rolling, the public image of the Wolfpack began to blur. Without the tightly edited episodes, fans were left piecing together fragments from social media, interviews, and court filings. And what they found only deepened the mystery. Matt Brown's disappearance from the show remains one of its biggest unanswered questions. Was he forced out because of his addiction and personal controversies? Or did he walk away after feeling betrayed by his own family and the network that made them famous? His accusations, from claims of withheld money to being supplied with substances, paint one version of events. The Brown's silence paints another. There's also the shadow of the 2020 allegations. The DA's decision not to prosecute didn't erase them from public memory. For some, they confirmed the family's decision to distance themselves from Matt. For others, they looked like a convenient excuse to cut ties with someone who had started speaking out against the show. Then there's the question of the family itself. Without Billy Brown at the helm, and without the financial engine of Alaskan Bush People, can the Wolfpack survive as a united front? Bear insists the show is only on hiatus, but Amy's court testimony in past tense hints otherwise. And if the series truly is over, the public's window into the family's life closes, leaving only speculation. For nearly a decade, the Browns sold the image of unity. All for one and one for all. But today that slogan feels fragile. One son lives and works within miles of his family's ranch, yet remains entirely cut off. Lawsuits hang over the estate. Former neighbors still criticize the way the show portrayed their community. The truth is, no one outside the Wolfpack may ever know exactly why Matt left or whether he'll ever reconcile with his family. Fans remain divided. Some see him as a victim of reality TV exploitation, others as a man who brought destruction upon himself. What's certain is this: whether the show returns or not, the saga of the Browns is far from over. Because in the world of reality TV, the biggest drama often happens when the cameras aren't there to capture it. So, was Matt Brown the betrayed son of Alaskan bush people, or the architect of his own exile? And if the Wolfpack can't survive without him, was it really a pack at all?